And I'm talking about the Echoplex trolls over here, guys. They're ascended masters.
Hey everyone, welcome to Downballot. We do the show live every Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. Pacific right here on Twitch. It's twitch.tv/Echoplex Media. If you're listening on the pod, thank you for downloading the pod, listening to the pod, sharing the pod with your friends. But you should certainly consider joining us for a live show sometime. If not this one, any of our other live shows, you can find the schedule for that at echoplexmedia.com, along with all kinds of other things that I shouldn't have to list because we have a website. I'm Producer Dave, and you can find me on Grindr.
And this, as always, is the Councilman flying alongside Producer Dave here on Downballot every Tuesday night. Thank you for tuning in, listener and viewer. We're happy to have you here. You can find me on Twitter at THE_councilman. And you can also find me up in your land use business, possibly pulling some eminent domain on your ass. But we're going to find out more about that later in the docket.
We will. There is an eminent domain story on the docket. It's a long docket this week, but we don't have a guest for local love, so we're not doing local love tonight. What we're doing after, actually, you probably saw it on the ballot. We're going over the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors meeting and the Orange County Board of Supervisors meeting. The Orange County Board of Supervisors meeting has a special appearance from Lee Dundas, who worships a space alien.
Oh, that's fabulous. I should definitely let the good wife know. As you may know, she spent a good amount of years in the Orange County area, trying to flip it from red to blue. So I'm sure she'll be really excited to hear that it's appearing on the post game tonight.
Yeah, it is. Lee Dundas is a lawyer for the cult of Scientology, and she's also an anti-vaxxer and a COVID denier and all kind of great stuff. Basically the intersection of everything we talk about here. So anyway, let's get going. What do we have for leading off?
Well, it looks like crime, as you know, is just, crime. So people are concerned about crime, especially on Nextdoor. And someone had the genius idea that they would partner with Ring to get free Ring devices and video cameras for folks' homes in their neighborhood to combat crime. So we're going to learn more about that.
And neighbors are joining forces to battle crime in the South Bay. Dozens of families in San Jose's Seven Trees neighborhood will be getting free Ring doorbell cameras and motion sensor lights to help catch criminals during this holiday season. NBC Bay Area's Stephanie Magallon joins us. And Stephanie, if it works, is it going to expand to other neighborhoods?
Jess, that is possible. But first, let me tell you the group behind this effort is Rebuilding Together Silicon Valley, and they chose the Seven Trees neighborhood as a starting point. A community I'm told is mostly made up of working class residents, low income families, and aging residents, and an area some neighbors say is a hotspot for crime.
Shootings, standoffs, porch pirates. Residents in this South San Jose neighborhood
Never heard porch pirates before.
tell me they've seen it all.
Last year, somebody crashed into our garage, and
Well, yeah, that's been
That
a
happens all the
running
time. Come on. Isn't that unique?
She knew she was going to be on Downballot.
and there were no cameras. Nobody saw. This person left, and we were left with a broken garage and a broken wall and a broken car.
Just driving down the neighborhood, you notice the limited number of well-lit homes with cameras.
Especially in this day of inflation, everybody's making choices on what they can spend money on. And at our community meetings, which we hold monthly, the top concern has been security and safety.
That's when Rebuilding Together Silicon Valley stepped in, an organization that provides free home repairs for low-income families. With the help of sponsors, they obtained 80 Ring doorbell cameras and motion sensor lights that will be given to neighbors here for free during a litter pickup event Saturday.
It's something I think many of us can take for granted, but it's a really amazing piece of our growing technological part of our community. But to be able to have security in the form of cameras to make sure that if there are security concerns, or just being able to know who's coming to your front door, it gives you that peace of mind.
Those who sign up will also get the gear installed for free, giving families here a sense of security right on time for the holidays.
If a lot of neighbors have that in one area, then we can all just kind of help each other and protect each other.
That helps build a community spirit. If you're feeling safe, you're more willing to walk out your door and meet your neighbors.
For now, the Seven Trees neighborhood will serve as a pilot program, but I'm told Rebuilding Together Silicon Valley is really hoping to install these security measures in other underserved communities throughout Santa Clara County. Back to you.
So my first impression is now the thieves know to go to the Seven Trees neighborhood and they can find some Ring cameras.
Absolutely, right?
That's what I'm thinking is going on here. You just alerted people to like 80 like basically brand new cameras that run, like $150. Like
Right. And honestly, these things can be a blessing and a curse, right? Like it's fantastic and to have documented footage when someone does actually commit crimes. But to be honest, we have a Ring now, and the majority of the time it's like the mail lady or, Amazon or UPS or whatever. And I'm out and get a notification. There's motion at your front door. And I check the video and, it's just one of those things, right? I really hope one time it's like a porch pirate. I really want to say, arr, like some guy with hook hand, come up and grab one of my packages and just be like into the video camera, "Arr!" But it's rarely that. So it's almost creating, another level of. I mean, healthy paranoia is always good, and this is not a safe. We're not in a safe world, right? And there's haves and have-nots, and you're going to have crimes. But I think it does things like Nextdoor and somewhat initiatives like this can create a little more, I think, paranoia than is needed, and a little more getting people more finely attuned than they necessarily need to be. But at the end of the day, you do what's right for your community, and it's if the nonprofit's paying for them, that's all good. But yeah, that's why I'm going to grab a new Ring camera.
I was just terrified that it was going to be like a partnership between a Nextdoor and Ring, and I was like, no, this is the dystopia. This is not, that would have been terrifying.
We'll get to that. We'll get to Tech Bros trying to help the poor people later in the docket. I think we have a few stories about that actually tonight. So we'll see. Hopefully this doesn't lead to just a rash like Nextdoor, a rash of reporting the same incident 20 million times, or poor people losing their packages, as opposed to getting their homes broken into.
Or on Nextdoor, hey, is your Ring doorbell doorbell gone too?
Right. I got a free Ring and it doesn't work. Anyway, but also I should put in a plug. Rebuilding Together Silicon Valley is a very quality and good local nonprofit. They do generally speaking, they focus on helping lower income people with home renovations and actually improving their homes and rebuilding their houses that are run down. So very good nonprofit. It's Giving Tuesday, so go out and give. That's my one plug for Giving Tuesday.
So we're going to move on to winners and losers, where there are no winners, and if anybody happens to win, it's usually not the person you were rooting for. You had mentioned Tech Bros trying to help people, and our first story is actually Tech Bros trying to help people. I called this "What the fuck?" was the first thing I thought of. Here's a story about a San Francisco entrepreneur trying to bring free solar power to the unhoused. I can't fucking believe I'm reading this headline. I just cannot fucking believe I'm reading. Oh my God. Anyway, here I'm sure after this is over, I'm going to have even more thoughts. I haven't watched this or listened to this. I'm just going to be angry for sure.
Get prepared.
Winter months can be very hard for people living out on the streets, and cell phones can be so important to help them find shelter. And while many of the unhoused carry them, keeping them charged is another thing. KPIX5's Itai Hod introduces us to a local college student who put a lot of time and effort into finding a solution for that. And here's a look at what he came up with.
For the past 18 months, Zach Clark, a senior at the University of San Francisco, spent every minute of his free time meeting with investors, securing funds, and testing prototype after prototype, all leading up to this moment.
We're really anticipating a good response, but of course you never know until you actually do it.
Today is the launch of his new product. But no matter how the day goes, Zach won't make a penny off of it. In fact, he's giving away all his inventory to complete strangers.
Hi there. My name is Zach.
4 years ago, Zach got an apartment in the Tenderloin, an area with some of the highest levels of homelessness in the city.
Seeing this being a way of life, from such a city that has so much wealth and innovation and creativity, I wanted to use some of that creativity and innovation for something meaningful.
So Zach and his friends came up with an idea.
Hey guys.
A high-tech backpack they call the Makeshift Traveler. It's filled with all kinds of useful stuff, but the one thing that really sets it apart is this.
And so the backpack has a solar panel that you can utilize to charge a cell phone.
A 2018.
You've got to be fucking kidding me.
Oh no. These guys are just, the dog looks more interested than the guys are. They're like, bro, we've got backpacks and we've got these little, they've got mini solar chargers for cell phones these days that you can get really cheap. So
a study showed 72% of homeless people living in the Bay Area have cell phones, a lifeline to essential services. But keeping them charged is a whole other matter. Leonard Esley has been living on the streets for almost 2 years. An Army vet, he's been working on getting a subsidized apartment, but staying in touch with the VA has been nearly impossible.
There's like one place I know of in the city that you can go plug in.
He plugged his phone in, and it immediately came to life.
Yeah, there you go.
As the day goes by, the reception Zach gets is way bigger than anything he could have imagined.
Oh my God.
And although Zach won't take any money,
You gotta play us a good song though.
he will accept other types of payment.
Overwhelming amount of emotions. First day of many, and really excited to see what comes of the future.
I hope they paid the copyright for this song.
On the power of the sun to deliver a ray of hope to the homeless. Itai Had, KPIX5.
Like if I start humming that song, we'll get busted, right?
Costs about $100 to make. So far, Zach has delivered 500 of them.
Yo, okay, so like my main problem with this is you see how like all those their backpacks were actually full of items?
Yes.
And it didn't look like this was a backpack for items.
Correct. Although they said that there were many helpful things in it, but they didn't really specify beyond the phone charger, which, as I've already pointed out, could be done in a lot smaller form and not require anyone who already has a backpack with a lot of useful things in it for living on the street, like, I don't know, a sleeping bag, clothes, warmth, right? Maybe food. It looked like this is just another bag that he's asking them to wear, and offering it as like a helpful tool. And they didn't show anything else that's in the bag. Like for all we know, there's like one of those IKEA Allen wrenches and like a bottle opener and maybe a Swiss Army knife or something. I don't know.
It's just like
what's in this bag.
It's just like full of beer.
Right. Well, I was wondering at first when he had the little covered cart, like, what's in the cart? What is it? He's giving out 500 of these things. I mean, I can't imagine the reception being that great. Like you'll take free shit, right? You living on the street, you'll take anything for free if you can maybe turn around and pawn it or do something with it. But I can't imagine this is very useful to folks, frankly.
Right. Wouldn't it be just as useful, if not maybe more useful, to just have gotten solar battery packs and handed them out?
I swear to God, I could probably, in this office, I think I have like 2 that I got as tchotchkes. Yeah, right up here at like a convention for free in a goodie bag. It's a little portable solar panel, and you can plug your phone into it. It's all you need. It's like it weighs probably less than an ounce, and it works. I've tried it while camping. So,
well, I mean, I would
those out for free.
I would get a better one that had a battery on it, so that like you could put it.
Yeah, I know.
You could like tie it to your backpack while you're walking around, right? And it charges the battery on it.
Yeah,
but that
100%. But I'm just saying this is something I got for free at a convention, right? Like I'm sure if we pulled some money together, we could get something high quality out to people. And especially if he's doing a startup anyway, if he's already got investors, why do the whole backpack if the real draw is the charger?
Innovation, bro. It's innovation.
Yeah, just go. Yeah, no need to create and reinvent the wheel, as they say, or reinvent the backpack. Just go buy people one of these chargers. And I guarantee you a lot of folks already have something like that if they're living on the street. Like, if you're living on the street for any prolonged period of time, you got to charge your phone. So I think you'd probably find a way, to do that first. That'd be like number one priority besides food.
It just occurs to me that like when you see someone that's like fitted out, they have something actually attached to the top of their backpack. Usually their sleeping bag is attached to then now that would cover your solar panel. You can't move the solar panel on top of your sleeping bag now. So now it's just covered.
Yeah. You can't have the solar panel on the bottom of the backpack because that would negate the purpose of the solar panel.
Right. So I just feel like this could have been a lot more effectively done by just handing out batteries with solar panels on them.
Dude, I mean, I want to see like the Go-Go Gadget or the Jetsons backpack that actually folds out into a cot, right? And also comes with the solar panel and the phone charger. That'd be kind of cool. Just hit a button and it like George Jetson's suitcase, right? When are we going to get that turns into a car or a flying car?
Well,
pretty cool.
That's a little far out there, but I feel like this is 100% about this kid's ego and not about helping anybody, because that backpack was also like ugly. Like it didn't appear to have much space to put things in it.
You don't trust Zach's inherent benevolence?
It just seemed like a very other than the solar panel, it seemed like a very useless backpack, like from what I was able to see.
It really did, and I think that's exactly the reaction you saw from most of the folks that he approached on the street. We're just like, "Hi," he's like, "Hi, I'm Zach." They're like,
"Oh fuck,
who the fuck are you? What do you have? Get out of you brought a camera crew with you too? Fuck you! Just give me your fucking backpack and go away." So of course he gave out 500 because they're just like, give it to me and go away. I may not need this, but maybe I can sell it.
Right. Maybe some tech bro will buy it from me for $200.
I'm going to go over to Twitter and sell it to the
all the fucking the 14 people left working at Twitter are all wearing them tomorrow now.
Right. You got laid off. You're going to be on the streets soon. You need this backpack.
So speaking of tech bros, this story has infected every other thing that we do around here. This is a story about Elon. I noticed that it appears that there's a person on the street commenting on this, and that's pretty much why I put it on here. This is about the Twitter amnesty plan. Plex_Dave has not been unblocked. They've not freed DJ Bob yet, and they've not freed our @Echoplex Media account. So I don't know. I think this is just amnesty for famous racists, but we'll see what's going on here. Let's see what
we can lobby him.
Let's see what NBC Bay Area has. I've already called him apartheid Clyde like 500 times. I don't know if I'd be able to lobby him.
Oh, okay then.
Billionaire Twitter owner Elon Musk says he will grant amnesty to users who were kicked off of the platform. The users were booted for various reasons, right? Like using threatening language and hate speech. Musk also says he will once again sell Twitter verified check marks starting next week.
Again, the key word is sell. As NBC Bay Area's Tom Jensen reports, users and social media experts are worried that these moves could lead to a spike in hate speech and violence.
New concerns about what the world's richest person, Elon Musk, is doing with Twitter.
It scares me. The amnesty program is very dangerous.
Users and experts alike voicing concerns after Musk tweeted 2 days ago that he's conducted a Twitter poll and 72% of respondents supported amnesty for users who have been kicked off the platform prior to.
Wait, wasn't he just complaining about all the bots on Twitter? How does he know? How does he know that wasn't just like a bot action to vote yes on that?
I believe that those 3.162112 votes, million voters, were legitimate. All of them.
Musk's Twitter purchase, and he tweeted, "Amnesty begins next week."
The people that were
that Vox
Populi. Know what
Vox
Populi, Vox Dei means.
Somebody under it put that doesn't mean what you think it means, you idiot.
Yeah, inconceivable.
And were the ones that had a lot of hate speech. They had a lot of threats. They caused a lot of anxiety for a lot of people.
Creative Strategies founder Tim Bajarin, a leading tech consultant and analyst, isn't the only one.
This guy?
Twitter users we talked with said they're noticing more hate speech and worry the hate will eventually take shape in the form of violence.
I mean, I believe in free speech, but it also, hate speech it's hard to, gauge what people do, versus what they do in person and what they're going to say online.
It's poisoning our entire country's atmosphere and not inconsiderably.
Max Reef, Concord Twitter user.
Mass shootings and things like that.
Musk responded to amnesty concerns in a tweet saying incitement of violence will result in account suspension. Then he described how Twitter will examine accounts to determine whether they broke any laws or engaged in spam before letting them back on the platform. And he ended with, quote, "Twitter will be a forum for peaceful exchange of views." And Musk also tweeted 2 days ago that hate impressions are down 1/3 since they spiked in late October and early November. And then he thanked the Twitter team. Bajarin says Musk should be motivated to regulate hate speech and threats or face the loss of more advertising dollars from corporations concerned about their reputations.
They don't want to be associated with a site that fundamentally allows, everybody just to say whatever they want without any form of restrictions. If more advertisers flee, the ability to have significant revenue for the company to keep it afloat is going to be very difficult.
And Bajarin says Twitter may have difficulty regulating speech and fixing bugs in the system after Musk laid off or fired many of the Bay Area's best code writers. He says only time will tell whether Twitter can survive in this type of atmosphere or if it might one day go the way of MySpace and become a social media has-been. Tom Jensen, NBC Bay Area News.
I liked Concord Twitter user.
He seems to have his finger on the pulse, as does that tech analyst.
So
with the open collar and the mustache.
I only did it because I knew there was going to be like person on the street, but I don't want to get too much into it. We have a tech show called How the Tech Are You, where we've been kind of covering this a little bit more, and we've been covering it on the Sunday show. I just found they just picked very interesting people on the street. The guy in like dressed head to toe in pink, I bet he is terminally online.
Absolutely. Like they had to tear him away from his phone. His screen time is probably through the roof. It's always fun on the local news hits watching and finding out where they were. I don't know how the decision making process happens, like how they decide, we'll send a reporter to Concord, or is it that just happens to be where the reporter who's available was, so they could go interview person on the street, right? It doesn't have to be Concord. It could be San Francisco, could be San Bruno, could be San Jose. But it's just always interesting to me where they end up, right? We're live in Walnut Creek to talk about this issue that impacts the whole nation, right? It could be because Walnut Creek is representative of California or the state or, the Bay Area, really not. Anyway, but you'll see that a lot. And it has to do a lot of times, which is where the reporters are at when they get assigned the story, and where they live even sometimes.
In San Francisco, it's almost always the Castro.
Yeah.
They're like, no, we're going to go to lunch. We're going to lunch after this story. So we're going to do it from the Castro.
Yeah, and it also has to do with where you're going to find, if you know places you're going to find people, right? If you know that Concord is a hotbed for people on the street, like guy on the street with the pink outfit, right? Pink jumpsuit. If you know that guy and those kind of folks are going to be out and about in a certain place, you're going to go there, right? Santana Row is a perfect example of that, right? Like, we're in Santana Row because we knew people would be out and about in Santana Row, and we'd be able to, and they're the kind of folks that want to get on camera and talk.
Fair enough. What's our next story?
Oh, man. Kids in the West Valley just can't stop being racist.
Today, Saratoga High School students held an anti-racism rally with parents and teachers at the school, students sharing their experiences and wearing red to show their unity.
Explicit racism shouldn't have to take center stage for us to talk about it.
It comes after a doll with dark complexion was found hanging by a noose in the main quad of Saratoga High School. The district believes it happened Friday the 11th at night. Today we spoke with members of the school's anti-racism task force.
We don't know who the perpetrator is, but it had a very strong impact on our community regardless.
New surveillance photos show what the district is calling two persons of interest. The images are grainy, but these two were seen on campus the night of the incident. And Saratoga High isn't the only school affected. The dolls and nooses were also found at Prospect High School and at Redwood Middle School as well.
Our goal right now is to make sure people understand that just because racism doesn't affect you personally in this community doesn't mean that you don't have to take action when you see that something's wrong.
The district sent an alert to parents denouncing it. The sheriff's department is investigating it as a hate crime and issued a statement saying hate has no place in Santa Clara County. The sheriff's office will thoroughly investigate these incidents and request prosecution of the offenders to the fullest extent of the law. Students say the discovery shook the school, but prompted them to address racism and encourage unity.
It's our job to sort of call it out and really take the next steps forward to suppress that and just sort of build a community of allies in which we're here for each other.
Because everyone has a responsibility to make sure that racism has no place on this campus.
In Saratoga, Ian Cole, NBC Bay Area News.
And that kid, Zach, in that last clip there, grew up to be the person who made the backpack in our
Correct.
Story.
Correct. That's exactly what I was thinking. Like, this kid's going to start his own nonprofit one day and give out backpacks to homeless people.
So, I mean, this stuff is good, and I think it's good that the students seem to be leading it, and that they were interviewing students, and that they versus interviewing concerned parents or whatever, because the concerned parents might be concerned, but that's the student's school, So I think it's
absolutely.
I think they're doing an okay job covering this one. I used to live right down the street from Prospect.
Yeah, it's they're definitely diverse campuses, right? That the neighborhoods and the areas are kind of Tony and more affluent, not entirely in a white way, but definitely more affluent. So I'd be interested to learn more about sort of the threads that they've seen at these schools of racism and other associated things. It certainly happened at my white bread prep. Catholic high school, all boys school. We had an incident with the football team, and students took charge on their own. Right, we interrupted a rally. There was a sit-in at a rally we actually instigated some form of change, or at least acknowledgement from the administration. So good on the kids for organizing and trying to snuff this out before it becomes a thing, right? It could just be a joke, could just be some sort of offhand thing, but better to address it and call it out for what it is.
Well, I mean, jokes are funny.
They are sticks and stones, man, right? But words do matter, and images do matter, and bells hanging from nooses absolutely matter. Well, like we said earlier, we're actually going to have a story about eminent domain on the docket tonight. I'm so excited as a land use aficionado. This is a pretty intriguing topic, and I think we'll just let the story run and explain itself, and then we can talk about it on the back end.
The wrong place at the wrong time. That's how some downtown San Jose business owners describe their situation after learning the BART to Silicon Valley project may force them out. VTA plans to build an emergency exit for an underground BART station on East Santa Clara Street, right where their businesses now sit. NBC Bay Area's Marianne Favreau has the story.
VTA wants to buy this building in order to complete its project to bring BART to downtown.
No, not that shop. That's such a good shop. That's that fucking Mexican bakery shop that's been there forever. No. Put it somewhere else.
We will get the full story and the tortas.
But the owner of Mexico Bakery says if that happens and VTA uses eminent domain, he'll be forced to close his business. As Jose Landon serves up sweet treats at Mexico Bakery, he's feeling sour about his future here. VTA says it needs the building his business is in.
Those are properties where we are going to locate both emergency egress and
unfortunate names
from the downtown station platform, as well as emergency ventilation facilities.
Jose says he would be forced to close after nearly 2 decades, and he's worried about his employees.
We employ around 10, 12 people. These 10 people support their families. So if we have no job for them, they're going to be with no job once BTA takes over.
Andy says the relocation money he'd likely receive isn't enough to reopen at a new location.
BTA also offers services for relocation. But honestly, with the money that they offer, there's no way we cannot even have enough money to open a food truck.
VTA says it's offered the owners of the 2 buildings a fair market price, and the agency will help all tenants relocate.
We have a legal obligation, and we have relocation agents who are available and have been contacting these owners to help them both find a new location, if there's a difference in rent, help with that cost, help with the cost of moving and reestablishment and so on.
But Jose questions why VTA doesn't use the empty courtyard next door. Golem says it's not big enough, and other possible locations would have delayed the project significantly. Now, with the owners of the properties refusing to sell, VTA can use eminent domain to seize the buildings for public use. On Thursday, the VTA board will hold a public hearing to decide whether or not to adopt a resolution of necessity. And if it does, that would clear the way for VTA to start the eminent domain process. In San Jose, Marianne Favreau, NBC Bay Area News.
Thank you, Marianne.
Why does it gotta be that place?
Mexico Bakery, yeah. It's rough for me. I mean, there is so it's actually Mexico Bakery number 2. The original location is down the way. Oh, hello. Sorry. Lights. Is down the way on Alum Rock. Sorry. It's down the way on Alum Rock Avenue, and it's still there. It's still going to be functioning, and it's still going to be serving up the most wicked tortas you'll ever have, as well as all sorts of tasty treats. So I don't know. I guess this must be franchised, because I thought it was just a satellite location, and I figured they would just consolidate or sort it out that way, but I guess not. So it's that's a shame. There's also a bar on the corner, and then another establishment in between them. I forget what they do. But yeah, that's a place I frequent a lot for lunch in downtown, and it's a fabulous place. The people are there very nice and mean very well. So yeah, this sucks. I don't know the ins and outs of what's needed as far as the construction goes and the vent and the emergency egress. I get it. You need all these things, and we don't want to poo-poo BART coming downtown. But there's got to be another way, right? But who knows? So I don't want to say that VTA is wrong to say that this is the most viable space, but they've got to do a lot more to, I think, assuage the concerns of the property owners. And I know the property owners are frustrated too, and they're concerned. Primarily, a lot of it's because they just don't get really good information, and they sort of get things thrust at them. And if someone actually sat down with them and worked through all these issues with them, there might be a way to figure it out. But as of now, they're not willing to sell. But the city or the VTA still has to offer them fair market value for their property, and they do have to offer relocation assistance, even if it is just enough to sort of food truck, as the gentleman said. So hopefully, between all the interested parties, something can be worked out, and we can find some solutions that work for everyone. But for now, it's going to be one of these issues. It's one of these situations where government comes in and has to steps in and maybe oversteps in a way. And that does not lead to more trust. In fact, it leads to a breakdown in trust. So it would be great if we could avoid these kind of situations as opposed to, calling them a public necessity.
Oh, that place is a public necessity.
That's what I would say. The tortas especially, man. The torta milanesa is so good. They put so much meat and stuff in their tortas. The other places, you get a torta, it's like, paper thin or like mercury newspaper thin right now, right? These are like a meal, 2 meals actually, and it's still a pretty reasonable price. So frequent them while you can, and show the world that we need BART, but we also need good conchas and good sandwiches.
And not for nothing, I don't think that this is going to be the thing that delays BART. I think that people are talking about this BART extension as if it's going to happen on time, and it's not. This whole project has been behind schedule the whole time. So
yeah. You know what's going to delay it is funding and financing, and the financing. Even the federal government financing isn't quite secured yet, right? There's all sorts of shit up in the air right now, and they're coming back for more local funding for this project, right? And hopefully, that doesn't mean that we're going to be asked to pay more taxes, because I think people are already, have already approved too many tax measures for BART to San Jose. But it's costing more every day we wait, and every day it is delayed, it costs more. This is true. So time is money. But realistically, this should have been done 50 fucking years ago.
Right.
But instead, this is what we're dealing with. So it needs to happen.
When BART rolled out, but you know why, right? The people in the South Bay, they I had heard people calling BART Mobile Oakland when I was young.
Right. Oh no, absolutely. That was exactly how it was. What was used to scare people into voting against it. There were votes. There were public votes in Santa Clara County and San Mateo County, and they both voted no. Because they didn't, because they were scared into thinking, oh, BART will just mean a bunch of black people will get on the train in Oakland and come down and disrupt my fucking white Tony community. Well, fuck you people. Now we're all dealing with it. Now all the black, white, Asian, Latino, everyone is dealing with the same fucking problem of our shitty ass transit system in the Bay Area, and our disconnected transit system. We're paying the price for your fucking racism. Thank you so much.
And the idea back then was that your average black folks had just nothing better to do than just come fuck up your shit. You're not
and commit crimes, right?
Like they didn't have any business to go about.
Who are these people? Who are these people that get on a train to go commit crimes, right? Like, if you're going to do crimes, you're probably going to do them close to home, like in an area that's convenient for you, right? You're not, I understand going across town to get the good candy on Halloween, right? But, this notion that someone's going to get on a train and ride 40 minutes to somewhere else to commit crimes just because the criming is better, right? We have more shit.
You could do better crime. You could do better criming in Saratoga, actually.
Go to the Oakland Hills or Piedmont. There's plenty of, decent homes there that you can rob. It's not like you have to come to
criming to be had in fucking Montclair, all right?
No need to come to Willow Glen or fucking, Rose Garden, Anyway, so we'll see what happens. I hope like I said, generally speaking, when shit hits the fan like this, someone finds a way to work something out. So more than likely VTA will get their building. These businesses will be made whole in some way. And we'll still be able to get good, decent Mexican food and pastries.
I'm more concerned that the bar and nightclub will have a harder time relocating just because of how San Jose doesn't really like bars and nightclubs.
To be honest, I don't know about that, if that spot is viable. I have yet to see a bar, that place has been so many different bars. I have yet to see one take off there, quote unquote, right? It's been so many different things. So I imagine either the site is a really just bad spot or just really bad management. I don't know, but Yeah, and the city's not also terribly friendly to those types of establishments, but they're not terribly unfriendly either. They're just not very helpful. So anyway, more to come. But we have another story about VTA apparently, and this is something you found, I think.
Yeah, VTA is trying to hire more bus drivers and trying to train up more bus drivers because they're amid a nationwide shortage. So let's see what they have to say about this.
Your next ride on public transit could involve a longer wait. Today, Muni blamed staffing shortages for delayed trains and buses. Now, the problems come as tourism officials say they are expecting a 30% increase in people coming to the city. Now, the problems aren't just in San Francisco. It's taking longer to wait for a bus in Santa Clara County, just as bus ridership is rebounding after the pandemic. The VTA says it's all because a nationwide shortage of bus drivers is hitting here at home. As Len Ramirez reports, the agency is now trying to attract more people to get behind the wheel.
So first thing I'm going to check is my defect card, make sure I have the proper date, the run number, the block number, and that's the right coach.
It takes a lot to turn a car driver into a bus driver.
So as I'm coming in, I'm going to check my mirrors.
And that's exactly why Cesar Gonzalez is here.
We're going to go out the gate right now?
Cesar is a 24-year veteran of the VTA and a top bus driver trainer. Today, he's taking one of the agency's newest recruits out on the road.
Keep an eye on the person, okay?
It's part of a 9-week bus driver boot camp that gives rookies like Jose Buenrostro Jr. the skills they need to safely steer a 40-foot-long, 30,000-pound coach through Silicon Valley traffic.
Not only that you're driving a vehicle that's heavy, you're also carrying the most expensive cargo, which is humans.
The need for more drivers is nearing a crisis. Coming out of the pandemic, bus ridership is on the rebound, but the VTA has a shortage of up to 70 drivers. The impact is on riders like Eliseo Guillen, who find out the hard way that some bus routes don't have enough drivers, and wait times on those routes have doubled.
And I wait for more than 30 minutes. This morning I was trying to ride up the bus, but it appears a message that it's taking longer.
Did cars let you guys in?
The goal now is to recruit and train up as many drivers as possible. But even though pay and benefits are good and there's room for advancement within the agency, recruiting is hard because being a bus driver is not an easy job.
You're dealing with a large segment of the population, a very varied segment of the population. You never know what you're going to get, and it can be very challenging in a public-facing job.
Turns out bus drivers themselves are some of the agency's best recruiters. Cesar knows that firsthand. As a teenager who rode the bus every day, he was encouraged to join the ranks by a kind, longtime driver named Art Pena, who was on Gonzalez's bus route. Because of Pena, Cesar joined up as a 19-year-old and rose through the ranks. Mr. Pena passed away from cancer in 2004, but his impact on Cesar and the agency can be seen to this day.
The way he talked to people, like welcome them, come in, come to the bus, and like I kind of saw myself doing it.
And the tradition of drivers recruiting drivers continues. Last year, Buenrostro was a security guard assigned to patrol VTA bus yards when he met some drivers who encouraged him to join.
We stopped before the limit line. They told me it was a great opportunity for me and that I'm very young, and if I start now, I could definitely take my future and my son, further.
For him, skills like pulling up close to a curb for passengers' ease of entry are being sharpened, all under Cesar's watchful eye. Now, both trainer and trainee are looking down the road and performing a service while providing for themselves. In San Jose, Len Ramirez, KPIX5.
And there is some good news. This Wednesday, 24 drivers will graduate from their 9-week training program, but the agency will still be short 50 drivers. So as for pay, VTA bus driver trainees start at $22 an hour with 5% increases every 6 months. But because of the shortage, drivers are working more overtime hours, which boosts their pay.
Right, but then they're working overtime.
And they're exhausted. Yeah, working overnight.
Right.
$22 an hour. I mean, yes, it sounds good, and it's a decent wage. Just do the math though, and it's not even close to enough to really live here in the South.
That 5% every 6 months, actually, you start that's like outpacing inflation. Well,
yeah, that ain't bad.
generally, if you do
generally,
inflation
not
for
this year, not
right,
this year,
but if you do like the last 10 years, it like outpaces inflation. And a lot of people end up in jobs where their raises do not keep up with the cost of living. So that 5%
most people get like 2 or 3 a year if they're lucky, right? Like a COLA raise, right? So good on them, man. Honestly, this is just one of those jobs that's got to be really difficult to recruit for, right? There's so many factors involved: the driving, the certifications, and then you have to know what you're doing first of all, and then dealing with like they said, dealing with the public, like Stacey Hendler-Ross said, dealing with a very interesting portion of the population. It's like poor people. Just say it. Like you're dealing with poor people. You're dealing with a lot of unhoused people who are using the bus as their space. Anyway, we'll see. Hopefully they can fill up their ranks, because we do need the bus needs to be there. The transit needs to be there. As much as it doesn't go all the places we wanted to right now, and it's not necessarily as efficient. It's going to get even worse if you don't have people to actually run the buses that we have. So good to see that they're hiring, but I just wish that they could offer more and it was a more desirable occupation. I did love that we are transporting the most valuable resource.
Yeah, that was creepy.
Valuable cargo, humans.
It was almost like calling us the most dangerous game or whatever,
Oh man.
So
anyway,
late edition of the docket.
I saw this. What's up?
Apparently, the San Francisco Board of Supervisors, tune in later. We're watching some crazy Board of Supervisors meetings later tonight instead of doing local love. They've approved a deadly force option for already existing robots in the San Francisco Police Department. We were talking about this when we were talking about the San Jose mayor's race that Evil Beto might deploy killer robots, but it turns out San Francisco is going to do it first.
Oh my God, let's see.
Police robots with the potential for deadly force. The SFPD policy just considered by San Francisco supervisors, allowing robots to kill suspects in certain critical situations.
There's been a lot of talk about RoboCop, which I think sets, a whole lot of minds going to a whole lot of different places.
This is KTVU.
No shit.
Fox 2 News at 7 on KTVU Plus.
And that controversial plan just passed about an hour ago in an 8-3 vote. Welcome, everyone, to the 7 here on KTVU Plus. I'm Alex Savage.
And I'm Greg Lee. Those police robots will be allowed to use potentially deadly force. The plan's drawn criticism from civil liberties advocates.
KTVU you don't say.
Reed Lee reports.
San Francisco police asking for approval by the Board of Supervisors to use robots like this one as a potential deadly force option. That means military-grade machines operated by trained officers could potentially kill suspects during critical incidents.
There's been a lot of talk about RoboCop, which I think sets, a whole lot of minds going to a whole lot of different places, but this is not that.
San Francisco Supervisor Rafael Mandelman supports using robots for specific life-threatening cases.
In fact, I think it would be irresponsible not to make some kind of plan to use that technology in that horrific eventuality.
It's really just opening a window that eventually somebody's going to want to crawl through.
Matthew Goriglia, a policy analyst with the Electronic Frontier Foundation, says it doesn't make sense to give robots the ability to kill.
We are going to lessen the burden of using deadly force from having to pull a gun and pull the trigger to a button on a remote control.
SFPD.
That's the yeah. The cops are already not known for fucking their wonderful restraint, and so now I'll actually just send the robot in and press the button. It's so much easier.
Right.
So much easier to just end somebody. Oh my God, I don't like this.
Considering using
you have 5 seconds to comply.
Way to get into a building with violent armed suspects barricaded inside. In a statement, SFPD said in part, while an explosive charge may be considered an intermediate force option, it could potentially cause injury or be lethal. Robots equipped in this manner would only be used in extreme circumstances to save or prevent further loss of innocent lives. The discussion in San Francisco comes just a month after the Oakland Police Commission decided against a policy that would have allowed OPD to use robots with shotguns. In Dallas, a robot armed with explosives was used by police to kill a man suspected of shooting and killing 5 police officers in 2016.
Transport the robot to the scene.
Supervisor Hillary Ronan spoke out against authorizing lethal force for robots, saying she thinks this is an incredibly dangerous route to go. In San Francisco, Henry Lee, KTVU, Fox 2 News.
So is this a response? Oh, sorry.
Once again, just after tonight's vote, writing on Twitter, quote, even worse than I thought. Only 3 of us, myself, Shaman Walton, and Dean Preston, voted against arming robots with weapons to kill.
Well,
so
go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
This is terrifying. I mean, I don't even know what else to say.
Yeah, is this in response to sort of the most recent incident in Texas, right? But the police just not seeing like, excited about going into bust up, active shooter situations, right? Like, is this sort of a knee-jerk reaction to that we're hearing that, cops are just hesitant to run into the fray, right? So we'll send in a robot to de-escalate or to blow up the spot, basically, literally.
Like, I am unsure. I think the cops just wanted a new toy. That's my take here, is the cops just want like another weapon.
Yeah. Something that doesn't endanger their little precious asses, but can go in and be used to kill, kill people, basically. And to blow shit up. And who knows what happened, what the collateral damage might be in one of these situations. Might be considered an intermediate device. Like, no, it's an explosion. It's an explosive device. What are you talking about, intermediate? That's some serious shit. This is military grade kind of shit, right? And you're right. We already have trouble enough with itchy trigger finger cops and cowboy cops, ready to just chomping at the bit, right, to go to use things like this. Why give them another tool? I thought we're supposed to be de-escalating.
To be fair, the robot might be better at de-escalation than most cops.
True. I was reminded, seeing this story, I was reminded of 2 things. The first was Short Circuit, of course, right? Number 5. And what if the robot suddenly became conscious of the fact that it was being used to kill? I do not want to. Number 5, don't want to kill. Number 5, alive. Keep things alive. And then the second thing was RoboCop, of course, and the one of the opening scenes, right, where you've got that big boardroom of all the mucky mucks, right, who are working on the next thing in policing, and they've got this huge robot that comes in
at 209.
I am here to police you. You must comply, and then it blows away all the fucking board members. It's beautiful. But that would be the best joy ever. Would be to see a city council or board of supervisors like approve this and have the robot come in for a demonstration and just shoot them all.
So, not for nothing, RoboCop holds up pretty well, but
it really does.
But the Short Circuit is a problem.
Yes. No. Yeah. Nuclear lasers are not being, and robots being armed with nuclear lasers not happening necessarily right now. But we'll see. Now, conscious robots, though, could be a thing. Who knows?
So we're going to move on to get your shit together. We've been talking about how there needs to be more public toilets, but absolutely not like this. Like, what the fuck is this? Well, check this out. You're not even going to, if you didn't look at check this toilet out.
Space age looking pod is the newest feature on San Francisco's Embarcadero, but it's not a new art piece. It's a new self-cleaning public toilet. And as NBC Bay Area Sergio Quintana tells us, you can expect to see more of them across the city in the months ahead.
The ovular metallic pod is a curiosity for San Francisco residents out on their daily jogs and walks.
It's sort of an interesting design. It'll take some getting used to.
This is to be installed, but it's one of 25 that will eventually be replacing the city's older self-cleaning public toilets. This capsule design replaces the green Art Nouveau style self-cleaning toilets that have been part of San Francisco's cityscape for the last 25 years. The new public restrooms are designed to be modern and sleek, but they're also designed to withstand the challenges of an urban environment.
Obviously, these live on the street and they do get graffiti on them and things like that. So it's stainless steel that's easily cleanable. The texture you're seeing on it is defense against stickers.
Public restrooms became somewhat controversial in San Francisco this summer after word got out that San Francisco Rec and Park was about to get $1.7 million to build a restroom at Noe Valley's Town Square Park. That state money was never delivered after a public outcry. By contrast, the charge to San Francisco for 25 of these new toilet pods is nothing.
The agreement is we provide the equipment, including the ongoing maintenance and the services for the next, many years. but in exchange, we have the right to sell some advertising on some kiosks in the city.
J.C. Decaux has had this agreement with San Francisco for the last 25 years and just renewed the deal. Eventually, these kiosks where the company sells its advertising space will also be redesigned and replaced. Along with the new toilets, the deal also includes attendance for some of the restrooms.
Certain bathrooms will be staffed to make sure that they stay sort of feeling safe and comfortable, but they are widely used by visitors to San Francisco.
Welcome to the JCD automatic self-cleaning toilet.
No.
Welcome to your bathroom experience.
The Department of Public Works, plenty of people use them. These public potties log about 400,000 flushes a year. In San Francisco, Sergio Quintana, NBC, Bay Area News.
So not for nothing, that one's already malfunctioned many times.
Oh my God. I love the Art Nouveau toilets that we have in San Francisco and San Jose. I didn't realize that was what was going on there. We're trying to be Paris with our fancy toilets.
The person speaking, welcome to the toilet. It's like, whoa, like people were talking about how, there's suicide booths in Futurama. Like that's what people were like, are you sure that's a toilet?
Yeah, it actually reminds me of walking up to the self-checkout at the supermarket, right? Welcome. If you have your club card, please scan it now. Welcome. Would you like to go number 1 or number 2? I can help you with that. Like Siri. Like, how can I help you with that? Can I wipe your ass? Well, thank you for helping us get our shit together. Literally. We will definitely keep our eyes on this subject. So interesting, the deal between the toilet makers and the city to allow for this pretty much free. I don't understand why they were looking at charging for any toilets if this company is willing to build all these toilets and give them to the city in exchange for the right to advertise on kiosks throughout the city and probably make shit tons of money off of it. Seems like a good deal to me. I don't think the kiosks are bothering anybody, and if you've got public toilets, can't be a bad thing, right? Keep the poop off the street.
Yeah,
maybe it was.
I'm just telling you, like, they didn't say it in that story, but I saw stuff on Twitter. Like some of those panels on the top, like open up for some reason. And like there was like pictures on Twitter of some of those panels on the top, like being stuck open in the toilet now, not being usable. Like there's some, it's weird.
I don't understand why. I mean, it seems like the toilets that we have already are functional, right? So if they're just talking about replacing ones that are already there, it seems like kind of a useless endeavor. I like the Art Nouveau style. It looks good. It fits San Francisco.
And yeah, why not increase the number of them by adding more?
Yeah, very much so. I think that would be fun. So instead they're replacing, but who knows? Anyway, let's go down ballot.
Yeah, let's go to, this is our look at local politics. And we're going to take a look at the reign of evil Beto, also known as Matt Mahan, San Jose's new mayor, seems to be beginning.
And we're going to find out what's going to happen.
Election, 2 city council members in San Jose have advanced to other positions, leaving their old posts vacant. Now officials must decide how to fill those spots. KTVU's Ann Rubin tells us the current council members can either hold a special election or appoint someone, a decision which has sparked controversy.
Appreciate it. Hi. How are you? Matt Mahan, San Jose's mayor-elect, may have just wrapped up an election, but he's already pushing for another, a special election to fill 2 now vacant city council seats.
This is just simple common sense. The people should choose their elected officials, not the politicians.
It is, however, the city council that decides how to fill the seats. In 7 out of the last 7 vacancies, they've chosen to hold a special election, not to appoint someone. But this time is shaping up to be different.
There's certainly an effort out there to do a 2-year appointment, which is something I'm dead set against.
If you ask council member David Cohen, there are compelling cases and concerns for both options. In a statement, he says, quote, "We need to have these conversations with an open mind and armed with data and analysis."
City council to me is elected by people. It's not by someone outside.
At a news conference at City Hall today, residents said they're concerned that anyone appointed by the city council wouldn't represent them.
That
we wouldn't get a choice.
How would they know what our problems are?
So now the city council will investigate how long would an election take to prepare and what would it cost. The city clerk estimates it could be up to $11.4 million for the two districts. Still, Mayor-elect Mahan says the price of skipping this is simply too high.
What will be the cost to taxpayers of having their voices denied?
A group called Let Me Vote SJ is currently circulating a petition in favor of the special election. The San Jose City Council will be holding a study session exploring their options on December 5th. In San Jose, Ann Rubin, KTVU Fox 2 News.
Yeah, I agree with Evil Beto. We should have an election.
Generally speaking, yeah, in principle, absolutely. And I think that will be strongly considered. I think you might have an interim appointment to fill the seats until the election is held, right? Because it could be, since we don't have ranked choice voting here in San Jose or in Santa Clara County, you could be looking at a primary earliest. It could be actually is May, because you have to have I think 120 days from when you call the election until the election itself. And then that would leave a runoff potentially happening in September or September timeframe, 90 days later. And because of the oddity of the presidential primary in 2024, which will be happening in March in California, most likely, and potentially even earlier, the fundraising period for that election would open up in September of 2023. So right around the time that this person, whoever it would be, is finally elected and taking office, and then they're jumping right into another election, another race, and having to raise money. And so you have the potential for whatever you want to call it, voter fatigue or just election fatigue, or just, forcing that person into a very difficult position of having to run basically two elections back to back or two campaigns back to back. I don't sympathize. I really don't care. I think you need someone in the seat to hold it down. You need at least a staff there to manage constituent services while someone is being elected. But you absolutely go back to the people, no matter how paltry the turnout is going to be, and that's what you'll hear as well, is an argument that only no one's going to vote. It's a special election. Well, I wish more people voted too, and we have to do more about that, and more people took this seriously and voted every single time we asked them to. They don't, but at the end of the day, I would much rather have 10.
All right, I think we're back.
Okay, sorry, I don't know what happened there.
Oh, I do. One of the audio devices we use crashed. So anyway, thanks for the raid, Justin. You saw a technical malfunction here on the audio side, probably for the first time ever. Podcast listeners, we're just going to leave that in there. Sometimes that's just how the cookie crumbles. I think
I was
everything's
blathering on anyway. It really was pointless. I really didn't have any point at all. So
yeah, they're gonna do a new election. And I think we're going to probably in just a moment here, we're going to meet the new mayor of Oakland. Is that correct?
It is correct. And actually this is an interesting tie-in here. Right now, on principle, I'm all for an election. The weird thing is that timing factor. That's the only really compelling argument to me. $10 million, $11 million out of a city with a budget of over $2 billion is really insignificant when you're talking about democracy and letting the people vote. If we had ranked choice voting in San Jose, we could get it done in one election. So at least by May, right, you'd have someone taking office, or June, right, once it was certified. Oakland, a fine example of ranked choice voting. Once again, has happened previously. The candidate for mayor who did not have the majority of, or did not have the most, not majority, did not have the most first place votes, ends up being the winner. So let's learn more about her and this race.
After 2 weeks of counting, it is official. Oakland has a new mayor, and her victory is one for the history books. Mayor-elect Shang Tao will be the first Hmong American mayor of a major U.S. city. Today, she sat down for her first one-on-one interview with NBC Bay Area's Gia Vang to talk about everything from what she'll do in her first day of office to how she got here.
Shang Tao's path has been anything but traditional.
How are you feeling?
Just, so hopeful and incredibly humbled by the whole experience, and just really thrilled to bring a new energy for the city of Oakland.
Tao's parents are refugees from Laos. She's a survivor of domestic abuse, and when she left that relationship, found herself homeless with her young son. Eventually, Tao went back to school and graduated with a degree in legal studies from UC Berkeley. Now she's been elected the next mayor of Oakland.
Did you ever think you'd find yourself in politics? Actually, no. I was headed to law school. That was my trajectory. But what happened was I couldn't afford to pay for my son's clothes during the very last year of my college career at UC Berkeley, and I took on an internship that paired me with Vice Mayor Rebecca Kaplan's office.
While Taylor had more overall votes, he placed second in the city's ranked choice voting instant runoff.
While it hurts to admit it, I do not see a viable path to making up the 682 votes needed to alter the outcome of this election. I will not be leading a recount effort, but I do understand that others are exploring this option.
With the election over, Tao...
Fucking Jesus Christ, can't the national politicians act right? This guy was like, I'm not going to lead a recall effort. It looks like I lost.
Yeah, right. I mean, at the end of the day, it's 600 votes. It's not a very big margin, especially considering it's a whole city. But it actually is a significant margin when it comes to voting machines and their the tech that's used, right, and how accurate the count is. If it was down to like a dozen, that's something you could that even election officials would say would be worthy of recount. But 600 votes is not going to get overturned by a recount.
Step into leading a city she says is in crisis. In a poll by the Oakland Chamber of Commerce, gun violence and homelessness were top of mind for voters. Tao, who says she's been in a home that has been the target of a robbery and is a renter now herself, plans to have a hiring blitz for vacancies from the police department to permitting department. But with so many vacancies,
how do you get people interested in that way? I think that, as Oaklanders, we are also proud of the city that we live in. And everybody here that lives here, they want to see a better, cleaner, stronger, safer Oakland, right? And in order to create that, we have to give these great paying, union paid jobs at the city of Oakland to Oaklanders so they can continue to live here, work here, right, and play here with their families.
Tao says she is guided by her own.
My mom cried and has just been so happy. She's actually really sick right now. And so, it was really hard to see her this weekend because she said to me that she didn't think that she would make it to see the successful campaign. Hold it together.
Tao is also Hmong, a group from Southeast Asia who fought with the U.S. CIA during the secret war in Laos and are credited with saving American lives.
You get the support from the Hmong community, and you're absolutely right. I'm actually the first Hmong person ever to represent a big metropolitan city in the nation. We literally made history.
In Oakland, Gia Vang, NBC, Bay Area News.
It looks like everybody involved there is a fucking class act. What the fuck's going on?
I know, right? It's Oakland. Something's in the water. Who knows?
No,
Lake Merritt.
I mean, the guy who lost couldn't have been more gracious.
Gracious, yeah.
They're
colleagues too. Yeah.
Oh, they were. Oh, so they probably didn't have a nasty election anyway.
Maybe. I don't know how nasty it got. It certainly didn't make waves if it did. And like I said, yeah, they're council colleagues, so I think that they both respect each other a lot. And they both had very prominent supporters. Although Taylor, I think, was supported by a little more of not the establishment, but more like progressive elites and the more the Oakland establishment, as it were. But yeah, good on her, and really looking forward to seeing what kind of leadership she can bring to the city. I think Oakland is in need of some dynamic leadership and maybe a shakeup of some sort.
So up next, a recurring theme on this show has been a bunch of wackadoodles and bigots going after Scott Wiener, the San Francisco. He's a state senator from the San Francisco. We've had Austin Bennett go after him, and we had stories last week of people sending him threats and harassing messages and whatnot. And so, and now it's Marjorie Taylor Greene going after him.
Oh,
so
awesome.
Good evening. A far-right Republican lawmaker is back on Twitter and slinging slurs at the gay community. The line of attack focuses on a derogatory term from the past that's being used once again to divide and demonize LGBTQ people. Now, these attacks aren't just coming from inside state houses. Politicians have taken divisive rhetoric online, and you can see KPX5's Itai Hod is here with the latest on this, and certainly very unsettling.
Exactly right. Yeah, the man under attack is State Senator Scott Wiener, and even though he's used to these attacks online, he says this one has him particularly worried.
She has a huge following with some very unhinged people in her orbit.
State Senator Scott Wiener says he's watching his back after Georgia Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene hurled an anti-LGBTQ slur at him on Twitter, calling him a groomer.
When someone like Marjorie Taylor Greene attacks me, and in this case calling me a quote-unquote communist groomer, yeah, I do have to be more vigilant.
The term groomer, which refers to adults who build relationships with children in an effort to abuse them, has been used by some in the far right against LGBTQ people, trading on an old stereotype that gays are predators. It all started a week ago when Wiener tweeted, "The word groomer is categorically an anti-LGBTQ hate word." That's when Greene, who had just been allowed back on Twitter by Elon Musk, attacked him. Wiener says since Greene's tweet, he's been inundated with attacks on social media calling him a pedophile. But his biggest worry is that it could encourage some on the fringe to hurt him or others in the LGBTQ community.
Hate rhetoric, particularly coming from people in power, directly leads to violence.
The slur came just days after a mass shooting at a Colorado Springs gay club that killed 5 people and injured many more. Now, some in the LGBTQ community are worried Greene's words could inspire yet more assaults.
Being in a place that's very gay, like, we kind of are reminded that, like, we have to constantly be on alert and we're never really safe.
Suzanne Ford is the executive director of San Francisco Pride. She says in the last few days, her office has been flooded with calls from people worried about their safety.
The tone of people is, discouraged, hurting, and it's terrible.
Hi, it's Scott.
Perhaps the only good thing to come out of all of this, Wiener says, is watching his community come together.
We know that we have to stick up for ourselves and be united, and we're doing that.
All right, so Itai joins us now, and thank you for that interview, and he was very open about this. I'm just curious, how does Wiener feel about Elon Musk reinstating people like Greene?
Yeah, we asked him that. He said he was enraged at what Elon Musk has been doing. He says he believes Elon Musk has completely embraced the MAGA community and has been peddling conspiracy theories. He believes that he is exerting toxic influence, not just over Twitter, but society as a whole.
Yeah, absolutely. So now in your story, as we all heard, we're hearing about death threats and just how scary this can be. My question is, has he even reached out to Elon Musk? Have the two had a conversation? I think I know the answer, but obviously he's got to get some sort of conclusion.
Yeah, that's a great question. He said no, he hasn't done it yet. He wasn't planning on doing it. He doesn't think that Elon Musk would be receptive to anything like that.
All right, Itai, thank you. Appreciate your interview there.
And not for nothing, Scott Wiener gets it like a bunch of different ways because he's also Jewish and conspiracy theorists. If there's one thing we can say about conspiracy theorists, they don't like Jewish people.
Yeah, very much so. Scott is certainly not alone in the death threats and the threats he's receiving and the attacks he's receiving. Every single one of our elected officials, even Marjorie Taylor Greene, from different angles, get these kind of threats. The stuff that's coming to him is just beyond the pale because of what you just said, right? It's just that sort of piling on of microaggressions that he represents against the white supremacist factions in our society. So, I'm never-endingly impressed with the ability of these folks to not brush the stuff off, but to go about doing their jobs while they know that's out there and that threat is out there and that the Austin Bennetts are out there, fomenting hate against them that could froth up at any moment. So good on them for staying the course, and good on Scott for standing up for folks and for representing us. And yeah, fuck Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Fuck Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Reinstate Echoplex Media. Bounce her off Twitter, please.
Yeah, no shit. So we have one more like local kind of down ballot-y story. Apparently there's a guy near Reading, actually, up in Shasta County, who's been running a one-man radio station, and I figured I had to put this on the docket because me in 20 years.
There you go.
The media landscape has really changed over the last few years, especially, and that includes TV stations and radio. Now, for example, locally, KGO Talk Radio recently shut down with almost no warning. But
digging the leather pants
can claim something of an antique. Rock and roll radio done the old-fashioned way. And as KPIX5's Wilson Walker shows us, that means doing it the hard way.
ZZ Top on Northern California's home of the classics, the Z Channel.
Night falls as you are making your way along a darkened I-5, and as you wind your way past Mount Shasta, you dial up some classic rock radio.
Real rock on Z100 FM.
Only this isn't just a radio station, it is the work of one single person, and you might have a hard time finding anyone else doing anything quite like it.
I don't know. Nobody's stupid enough to do it, you know?
By that, Dennis Michaels
except for producer Dave.
The whole show by himself. He picks the songs, records the jingles, even does a lot of the ads.
Mount Shasta's only Havlin oil changer.
He also does all of the maintenance and just about everything else.
Music programming, traffic. I don't do sales because I suck at sales. So basically,
oh my God,
everything right here. 3 or 4 software programs that kind of commingle. I send that over to the server, which is down here, and this is what's on there now. Chili peppers and sticks up next, and every time I hear something I like that nobody else plays, I stick it in rotation, and it seems to do well. We're tracking about 22,000 cities on the internet. Australia, Barbados, Germany, Canada, Russia. Yeah, I track it because I can see them on Google Earth right where their server is, and it's always right at the Kremlin.
And all of those people, including the fans in Moscow, are listening to one man's playlist of 8,000 songs. But it's really been a lifetime of music. Michael started as a teenager on AM radio in Chicago before his career took him to Los Angeles.
Then I had children, and I wanted a small town to go to, kind of like Mayberry-ish. So I found this place and built it.
25 years later, he says the famously eclectic area has probably contributed to his longevity in an era when many stations have fallen under corporate control or disappeared altogether.
And hey, coming up next, got some mantras for you, also Jethro Tull.
So there is still something a little like old-time radio out there, and people are finding it far beyond the shadow of Shasta, a one-man band rocking on in a changing media world.
It's a labor of love, man. You know what I mean? No normal person would undertake what it takes to do this, but
you keep doing this for a while?
Yeah.
Soundboard.
Nothing better to do. He's working a real job, buddy.
In Mount Shasta, Wilson Walker, KPIX5.
That's awesome.
What was that line? No normal person would undertake. She got to soundboard that.
Yeah, I could. I'll probably forget, but yeah, that's pretty wild. I wonder if he ever has technical issues where everything goes beep.
I'm sure occasionally. That's beautiful.
Anyway, we're gonna go to and another things. We have a couple animal interest stories. Actually, 3.
Yeah. So you found this one, I think.
More wild hogs.
Wild pigs. Wild hogs.
Every once in a while, the wild hog stories pop up on. It's probably slow news days, I'm guessing.
Yeah, usually in Almaden.
News tonight. So yes, we get it. A lot of talk about turkey, but for one Bay Area neighborhood, it's all about pigs. A long-running problem in Morgan Hill, where wild pigs or boars are destroying people's front yards and sometimes even their backyards. Some people want to shoot the pigs. Here's NBC Bay Area's Robert Honda.
Oh, it's the shooting the pigs stuff again.
Hilltop communities in Morgan Hill are definitely frustrated by the damage and the mental stress caused by the wild pigs. And the problems?
I'm stressed out.
Keep growing. These are new images of the wild pigs roaming through the Holiday Lake Estates community in the hills of Morgan Hill and Santa Clara County. The homeowners say the pigs began rolling in after Anderson Reservoir was drained for earthquake retrofitting, using the dry lake as a pathway. The pigs have uprooted huge chunks of people's yards, as well as the open meadow used for emergency evacuations. And now members of the neighborhood association say their numbers have nearly tripled since last year.
Every evening we've been hearing and seeing these large boars and families of pigs come out. Some are up to 500 pounds. It's not easy just to have a silver bullet of, say, kill the pigs.
Now, after a lot of debate and delays, it appears the current proposal calls for hiring hunters to solve the issue. But there are numerous state and local laws regulating how it can be done. For example, the pigs must be caught and caged before they can be shot. Plus, the local homeowners association's own bylaws prevent any gunfire in certain areas and would require a 75% homeowner vote to change it. But board members may have a way to solve that issue, too.
We have 84 lots in Holiday Lake Estates that are on Lake Anderson. So if we shoot a gun on those properties and kill pigs and cages on those properties, there's no danger of a pass-through shot harming somebody else or hitting somebody else's home or a person.
Many residents are against shooting the pigs, period. One homeowner, who asked not to be on camera, says she's reluctant but also sympathetic to her neighbors and their damage.
I can put aside my repugnancy about killing the pigs, and if we did that in an area where it was allowed, such as the old marina or over by the dry lake bed.
The homeowners will vote on the new proposed solution next month, but even after that, the group will face a maze of overlapping agencies to get permission to go on certain property areas and to actually kill the pigs. In Morgan Hill, Robert Honda, NBC Bay Area News.
So there's robots in San Francisco, actually, that could probably take care of this problem.
And that's what they call a callback, children. Very good, very good. Yes. The SFPD needs to partner with Morgan Hill PD to bring robots to bear to euthanize the pigs. I also love the NIMBY aspect of this. I'm all for euthanizing the pigs, but do we have to do it in my neighborhood? Can we do it in that other neighborhood, maybe? Over by the docks. That's where we need to do. Over by the train tracks.
Right. On the on the other side of the train tracks. You know what I'm talking about.
Not in my neighborhood.
So anyway, now we got wild turkeys in Alameda.
Yeah, there's wild animals everywhere.
If you live near downtown Alameda, this is probably a familiar sight. A wild turkey casually strolling onto your front yard or across your driveway or slowing down traffic as they cross the street.
Happy Thanksgiving, you turkey.
Is something locals say they're seeing on a daily basis.
Stopping traffic, cars have to wait at the intersection for them to cross through.
I can see them out my kitchen window, walking down the sidewalk or on my grass.
Yeah, I got a couple pictures we can look.
Ernesto lives in the area and shared this rather fitting picture of a turkey walking in front of a Thanksgiving display.
Last year we see 2 big turkeys, and now it's only one, but I still mom with like 6 babies.
Daniel Wilson with Alameda County's Vector Control says the turkeys aren't native to California and were introduced decades ago by the state's Fish and Game Commission to encourage recreational hunting. But over time, those turkeys migrated to more urban areas for obvious reasons.
It's easy to find food. The resources are good. There's no mountain lions or bobcats,
Good public transit.
This year alone, the county has received 24 complaints.
Oh no, they're down some drivers.
That's an 80% jump compared to a decade ago. And unfortunately, there's not much the county can do about them.
It has to go to California Fish and Wildlife, to either relocate the birds, which is quite rare.
But with very few reports of foul play, it doesn't appear that locals are too concerned about the turkeys.
I think people know. A bunch of wild turkeys are around.
I feel that you just give them their space and they just go on their merry way.
In Alameda, Pete Serratos, NBC Bay Area News.
Yeah, the people there seem kind of entertained by it.
Yeah, a little bit. They seem pretty cute to me, and it's all fun and games until a wild turkey eats a baby. You know,
that's dark.
Yeah, I guess fatherhood's doing weird things to me. Anyway, well, so in here, just to tie it all together, there's always someone stepping up for the turkeys, right? So we got to make sure that if there is a movement to euthanize, there are some activists out there that are going to have their say.
Activists protested what they call the violence of Thanksgiving at a Safeway store in Oakland.
What do the turkeys want? Animal liberation!
The group Direct Action Everywhere staged a protest outside and inside the Safeway store on College Avenue yesterday. The protesters say Thanksgiving celebrates the genocide of indigenous people with a tradition of violence that takes the lives of more than 40 million turkeys every year.
They don't tell you that when you interact with these turkeys, even in these horrific places, that they're so young, full of life, wonder. The turkeys started to approach us.
The protesters also dropped a projection screen from the store's rooftop parking lot and projected footage from inside a turkey farm owned by Foster Farms. Direct Action Everywhere says it obtained the video from a Foster Farms turkey farm in California and that it shows the unsanitary conditions where the turkeys are kept.
Well, they have a point. They certainly have a point about the genocide. And I mean,
yes,
factory farming, obviously nobody wants to see images of factory farming. We all want the food. We don't want to see images of it because it's troubling.
Yes, of course. And I think we had a story, either we did or I saw a story about genetically produced, meats, right? Where they just created in a lab where there's no actual living, sentient being that's created. It's just the meats. Interesting. I might try it. But yeah, I was laughing earlier, not because I'm not sympathetic to the cause. I'm completely sympathetic to the cause. It was the clunkiness of the chant, right? If you've done any kind of organizing, it's like, what are you thinking? Like, what do the turkeys want? Animal liberation. There's way too much going on in that chant. Like, don't simplify, and take a breath. But yeah, the turkeys were coming to us and speaking to us and telling us that they needed to be saved. It's like, you really don't need to go that far. Just show the video of the pink slime and everyone will throw up and no one will ever want to have a turkey again in their entire life until next year.
To be fair, turkey isn't even really that good. Like, it's not even that good. It doesn't taste that good.
It's just not the best meats, right? Like, you want some meat, man. Like, give me some oxtail. Give me some, give me some pork belly, right? I could do it. I mean, I'll have it. It's good with other things, right? It's good with the stuffing and with the mashed potatoes and with the gravy and the cranberry sauce. But if you need all that to amp up the game on your meats, right? Like a nice steak, should just be fine on its own. Just give me the steak. What's all this other shit on the plate? So,
well, everybody,
anyway,
thanks.
I'm a meaty.
Thanks for tuning in for Down Ballot this week. Thanks for toughing it out when we had a audio malfunction. That's like something that never happens around here, like at all.
Yeah, right.
At some point, we are going to have to do a whole show about how good this show sounds.
But today is not that day. Councilman, you want to read us out?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us for another wonderful episode of Down Ballot. Tune in every Tuesday night live on Twitch at 7:30 p.m. Pacific to hear us break down the latest in local derp. I would say stay tuned for Local Love, but we're going to do a little post game tonight because there's no live interview. But usually you will hear the best in local music after this show, so stay tuned for that. Keep downloading, keep sharing with your friends, keep wearing your pants because it's very important that you protect your junk. And have a great night, everyone. Peace.
Time to get the party started. Pick up my phone just to check and see who's calling. Dress up real nice for all the ladies at the bar, and I'm driving in my car just to get to where they are. Here at the local scene is where I plant my feet. It's where I smoke my cigarette and I hold my drink. I look at all my friends, they're all blazing greens. Here at the front of the stage, waiting for MTV. Where are those guys who's standing next to me with a pipe in his hand, ready to blaze for me? About 5 minutes later, we're all singing Queen. Now get the fuck up on stage, man, rock the scene, yeah. We do what we want, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. We do what we want, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. Enjoy that band. I turn and head back to the bar for a refill, man, because you know where we are. We're headed out to the car to smoke another one and another one. Now just when the magic starts kicking in, I hear relapse playing, you know it's time to head in. Alright everybody, now it's time to grab a new drink, spark it if you got it, and then pass it to me, yeah. We do what we want, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. We do what we want to do, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. Enjoy that band. Last up on the bill for the show tonight is Down and Dirty at 5, so we're headed outside to spark up another joint. Now who's got my lighter? Stoner E, of course, shouldn't you be inside?
I'm all up in this bitch, being who I gotta be. I'm fucked up like the U.S. economy. The truth is that I don't think logically. Stoner E take you on a psychedelic odyssey. Now inside motherfuckers is rockin' me, and outside shit we smoke a lot of broccoli. Rocky the roller, yo, that sexy girl be jockin' me. Ain't too drunk to fuck, but I'll probably do it sloppily.
We do what we want to do, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. Enjoy the band, enjoy the band. We do what we want to do, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Molly say that he like jamming, and he hope he like jamming too. Well, I gotta say, thank you, Bob, we do. Yes, I gotta say, thank you, Bob, we do. Well, Bob Marley said that he like jamming, and he hope he like jamming too. Well, I gotta say, thank you, Bob, we do. Yes, I gotta say, thank you, Bob, we do. Yeah,
we do what we want, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. We do what we want, and what we want to do, what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. Enjoy that band. We do what we want to do, what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. Enjoy that band. We do what we want, and what we want is to jam. So sit back.